Welcome to Backyard Bows. Hey, welcome to Backyard Bows. I'm Brandon, and today we're going to help you build some arrows. So if you're interested in customizing some arrows to your hunting rig, and you don't necessarily know where to go, what store to use, and you don't have a shop that's close to you where you can go in and have them build them for you, we're going to walk you through the whole process. We'll give you some little tips along the way, and we'll show you a company that we've used in the past that I think is a great company. They have some awesome customer service, and they usually have the arrows that I like to use in stock, and that's why I keep going back. So I found Badass Outdoor Gears. They're out of Utah. They have two storefronts, but it's basically an online store. They have some awesome customer service. I originally kept going back to them because they consistently had my full metal jackets that I use and that I've used for years in stock. I don't think I've ever called them and then be out of stock as some of the arrows that I like, which are the 300 spine or 340 spine. And here in all the bow shops around me, sometimes they have them in stock, sometimes they don't. It's always hit or miss. So I just started ordering them online, and they seem to be a little bit cheaper, and they always had them to my door within a week or so. So Badass Outdoor Gear, if you go onto their website, honestly, if you scroll down, it's like the first thing that you see, and it says custom arrows. So if you click on the custom arrows, and again, this is just one platform. So there's so many different platforms and online stores, and they only carry certain arrows, certain fletchings, and certain options. So if it's not the options, arrows, and fletchings you want, you might have to go somewhere else, but I think this will give you a good idea of the process and the steps you need to take. And again, we'll give you a couple different tips on deciding, if you would like an angle to your vane, and how to determine that. And then we'll also give you a couple other little pointers. So the three brands that they carry are Gold Tip, Victory, and Easton arrows. I have shot Eastons for as long as I can remember. I absolutely love Easton arrows. They have, time and time again, I have been impressed, whether I make a not so great shot, and they kind of perform for me, busting through shoulders, or just reusing. I think more than any other arrow, last year, in example, I shot the same arrow, killed 5 different deer with it. So again, you want to find something that's consistent, durable, and I think of all of the things that we review, I think Easton arrows are my favorite product, something that I stand by, and I don't plan, not necessarily reviewing, but I don't plan on switching up from Easton anytime soon. Now we have the diameter and the actual arrow. So I do full metal jackets, 5mm. Now you have the option of 5mm or match grade, which are just a little bit better arrow. They're a little straighter. They cost a little bit more. 5mm full metal jackets, though, you can't beat them. I love the autumn orange, so I'm going to go with the autumn orange. 5mm, 4mm, 6mm, again, it's preference. Mess around and kind of shoot several different things. I can't even begin to tell you how many different arrows, different widths, different weights, different vanes. I mean, I have shot so much. And I'll tell you right now, if you're new to hunting, and so all of my reviews, I like to assume I'm talking to somebody who decided yesterday they wanted to get into archery. And this is just a little tip for you. I've shot every vane. I go back to blazer vanes most of the time. Okay. So again, it doesn't matter. Some of this stuff is just preference, and it's going to be my preference. So if you get on here, try something new and try to switch it up. And I promise you, over years of hunting, you'll have shot multiple things and tried different things. So going with the spine. Luckily, they only have 340 spine. They're out of the 300s, which I go to them because usually they stock and carry almost everything. I think if I didn't pick the autumn orange, they probably would have the 300 spine. But I wanted to go a little bit lighter arrow this next year. I think a 340 spine full metal jacket is the ultimate whitetail hunting arrow. Personal preference. I've shot 300, 320, 340, shot 400s. I shot 300s all last year. My arrow weight was around 500 grains. I'm going to go down in weight. So again, if you're new to hunting, if you go up in spine, your arrow is going to get less stiff, and you're going to go down in weight. So I'm going to go 340 spine this year. Arrow length. So this particular program does valley of nock to end of carbon. Some programs will do tip of arrow to tip of arrow, which is either metal to metal, carbon to carbon, not including the nock. Okay, so just make sure that you factor that in. And I think it's best to do a 1/2 inch above your draw length if you're new. That's just a good safe area. So if you're a 29-inch draw, you want to cut your arrows to 29.5. Okay, that's safe. Now again, after years of doing this, I end up doing tip of arrow to tip of arrow 29.5, and I'm a 30-inch draw. So because of that, because they do valley of nock to end of carbon, I'm going to do 29 3/4. So 29.75. So I'm going to factor in that little bit for the nock. Inserts. These are going to be my hunting arrows, and I'm actually going to glue in an outsert. So you can have them glued in if you want them to, or you can choose not to. So I'm going to say inserts not installed. Okay, I'm going to glue in my own inserts because I want something different than the general Easton arrow inserts that they're going to put in. Now you have the wrap and vanes. I like a wrap on my hunting rig, and again, I go white for almost everything when it comes to my hunting arrows, and that's because an accurate read on blood is so vital to whether or not you are going to pursue a deer or give it time. So I like white vanes, white wraps if I'm going to go that way, or the majority of that part of the arrow to be white so I can get a good read on some blood. I'm going to go 4-inch white wraps, and I'm actually going to do the one with the antler logo. So they have a badass logo, antler logo. I like the one with the antler logo. Now your fletching count, 3 or 4, purely preference. Okay, I've always put 3 vanes in my arrow. I've tried 4. I go back to 3. You know, so again, that's something that you can watch some videos on, figure out for yourself what you want to do. I'm going to go 3 vanes. Fletching type. Now again, I can't stress this enough. Fletching is pure preference. The type of fletching, the material, the shape, all of it can vary. I've never ever fletched an arrow. Some might stick a little bit better, but if you do the directions properly, like I say, if you're using tack vanes, if you use the tack vane primer, the tack vane glue, and you don't rush anything and install them properly, they're going to stick. Same with blazer vanes, same with it doesn't matter, okay? You just have to install them properly or have someone do it for you. But the type of vanes is purely preference at this point. I have used probably 12 different vanes over the past 12 years. I usually just go back to the blazer vanes. They're cheap, they're inexpensive. That's usually what they always have in stock. So, but this time I'm gonna go with these AAE Hybrid 23 badass vanes. I'm gonna go for the 2.3-inch length. They have 2.3, 2.7. I'm gonna go with these, I like these. So I usually go AAE or I go boning. So they also have Q2 eyes on here. The Fusion 2s, Fusion X2s. Again, I've shot those too. Those are all nice. I'm not, it's purely preference. If you catch somebody telling you differently, you can deal with them. I don't know what to tell you. I've never ever seen one stand out significantly more. Okay, so some might fly a little better, some might stick a little better, but in the end, I think they're all gonna do the trick if installed properly. So let's go Hybrid 23, 2.3. I'm gonna go white as well. So you have plenty of different color options for those vanes. I'm gonna go white. If there's a secondary option, I'm also gonna go white. Now vane angle. This is important to determine. If you cannot bare shaft shoot an arrow and determine this, just go straight. Okay, it would take away from the efficiency of the arrow if you angle your vane in the wrong way. So let's take a second, we'll step over to the bag and we will show you how to figure out which angle you should do your vanes. All right, so let's determine which way we are going to set our vanes, okay? Your bow, and everybody's different, your bow is different, each of us are different. Your bow is going to naturally want to spin the arrows. You know, just because of a little bit of torque in the bow, it's gonna naturally wanna spin them one way or the other, either left or right. The only way you can determine it is shoot a bare shaft. I'm gonna make a little mark. So what you're gonna do is, you know, once you knock your arrow directly across from your knock, we're gonna make a little bitty mark with a Sharpie. I'm gonna use a green one. It's best to use a silver one, okay? Just so it shows up. And you want that mark to be up. So my Sharpie mark's up, it's directly across from my knock. We're gonna take a couple feet back and we're gonna shoot the bow. You're gonna only take a couple feet back, don't shoot it too far away. You don't want that arrow to rotate all the way around and then you don't know which way it's rotating. We just want it to rotate a little bit so we can decipher which way, left or right, we are going to offset our arrows. So, and again, it only takes, so this way it's going left. So I'm gonna wanna offset my arrows left. So now that you can see, my arrow nock is slanted this way, which means it is wanting to rotate to the left. If you look up here, we got our little mark right here that we made that you can barely see, but it's going to the left. So we're gonna do an offset left. And you can offset at different degrees, either 1, 2, or 3 degrees. I'm just going to go with a 1 degree. The more you offset, the faster it's gonna spin. You know, putting together that highest performing arrow, that slight offset is going to just kind of help it stabilize out quicker. It's going to help it fight the wind. It's going to help it it's going to speed it up a little bit, and it's also going to speed up that turn, and it's going to kind of balance the arrow out quicker. If you offset them in the wrong direction, so if you just take a guess and say, hey, I'm going to offset them to the right, and it's just a guess, and your arrow is actually turning left, if you can see it on a really high speed camera, but it's actually going to take a second for that arrow, it's kind of like it's confused. It wants to turn left, but then the vanes are going to re-counter it and it's going to go the other way, but it's going to take away from the efficiency of the arrow pretty much. So if you don't know, I would just say go with a straight vane. Don't guess. Either test it yourself or just go with a straight vane. All right, so now that we're back, we determined that we have a left helical. I'm going to offset it just 1 degree. Okay, I either do 1 or 2. I don't do 3. The more you rotate those vanes, the less they are to stick. So I like it either straight or maybe a 1 degree offset. Okay, so I'm going to go left 1 degree. Knot color, again, preference. I got the orange arrows. I got the white vanes and wraps. So I'm just going to do orange on the back end too. I think that'll look good. Field points, I have so many field points over there. I don't need any more, so I'm just gonna say none. So again, each thing that you click on this customization, it's gonna bump that total up at the bottom. So if you don't need something, don't buy it. Do I want my order expedited? Nope, archery season's a long way away, so you know, that's not something I need. Any notes for the arrow builder? I don't have any, so I'm gonna go ahead and add this to my cart. So something that I think is super important is to get whatever arrows you're gonna use through the hunting season is to get those as soon as possible. Figure out what broadhead you want to use, or try a couple different, maybe kind of give you some time to decipher which ones you want to use. Then you're going to tune your bow and your sight to your arrows. And you know, I want you to practice with those arrows as much as possible. You should be getting your daily reps in with your setup you're going to use for as long as you can before. A lot of people, they'll just shoot all year long and then they go figure out what arrows they want. They'll set them up a couple months before the season, and then they're shooting as minimal as they can before they enter their hunting season. I would try to get your arrows, if you're going to customize them, figure out everything as soon as possible, get them in, set them up, start slinging and doing your daily reps with the arrows that you plan on using during that hunting season. I think that is really important. Again, this is more fun than anything. I shoot blazer vane full metal jacket 300s that I get from the bow shop with a regular old Easton insert, and I've hunted with them for years. I cannot tell you that you know, this is just fun. You know, this is, if you have a little bit of extra money, I love matching and kind of customizing things to my rig. But if you're new to hunting, don't buy into the hype. You can get, man, I've tried so many different arrows, just whatever they had at the shop. We get the ones that match my my draw weight. So if you go onto any company website, they usually have a graph that will match your draw length and draw weight, and then they will have a suggested arrow spine that you should use for your setup. So look at that before you pick your spine. But I've shot just whatever they had in the bow shop, just how they set it up with the inserts to have it set it up. I've hunted for years like that, and it's, you know, especially whitetail turkey, you don't need anything extra. But again, if you want this is a great way to do it. Hopefully you got a little bit of tips on what angle you should choose. I mean, what angle you should direct your vanes, what spine, you know, all of this stuff that could be a little bit confusing for somebody that's new. And again, my total is $234. If you have a little bit of extra money, these dozen arrows, I can't wait for them to get in. We'll come back and show you whenever they get in. We'll show you what they look like. So these ones actually came a little faster than some of the ones in the past. These ones only took about a week. So you guys walk through the process with me. You pay for it, and within a week, you got arrows at your door. So let's open it up and let's see how the ones that we made the other day turned out. So I love the white. You know, you have the really small angle, so I only went with that 1 degree, so it's just slight. And then you got the antlers at the top, which I like too. I think they do a great job. Give you a little koozie. And man, I got my fresh dozens, which I have these now so early that I can start setting up, deciding what broadhead I want to use. And I'm telling you, Amelia at the front desk is awesome. Some of the most helpful people you can get. But now I can figure out what broadhead I want to use and start tuning that first bow I'm going to use to begin the season with. Start tuning it out, and I'll start repping every day with my new arrows. Hey, thanks for watching. If you haven't already, hit that like button, leave us a comment. I love interaction. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. We have so much more to come. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook for updates of anything else that we're going to review. If there's something that you're interested in, hit those links below and check them out. And make sure, no matter what your setup is, what bow you're shooting, get your reps in on the daily. We'll see you next week.